Hey, Kathryn here with Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Well, today on our mat, let's make a Dalmatian agate woven bracelet with matching earrings. This is May project number 6 for me, and it is project 1 for the May Bargain Bead Box series. Now, isn't this a beautiful bracelet? And I love those earrings. I can hardly wait to show you how to do this. So let's turn our eyes to the mat. So, as I turn my eyes to the work table and see my thankful and blessed mat today, I truly do feel thankful and blessed. So many blessings. I was thinking about this morning about walking with my husband and or my daughter in the park that we have just down from our house. And this park is amazing. It has so many birds and animals in it. I was telling my daughter, I forget sometimes that I'm here to walk because it's like going to a zoo. But I am so thankful for all the beauty God has put in this park. And one of the things that caught my eye I wanted to share with you is there a flock of Canadian geese or goose, however you say it. But there is a regular, almost, little white goose that has the markings, some of Canadian and some of another, of a regular domestic goose. And he just fit, or he or she, I didn't see the tail, so I'm not sure, but they just fit right in to that group. There is acceptance and love. And I think about our Father, and He is like that. Sometimes we feel like we don't fit into the group, but really, because our Lord Jesus loves us, and because we are born into His kingdom, we really do fit into that group. Because we're all one. And I think we forget that sometimes as we're busy shuffling and trying to get our people together or get our churches together, when really and truly we're all just one. Isn't that amazing? So how about you? What do you feel thankful and blessed for this day? All right, let's go ahead and turn our eyes to the mat. As I said, first project of the May Bargain Bead Box, we're using this 8mm Dalmatian agate. This is a dyed agate, and it is just so pretty. When I saw this, I thought, oh, this is begging to be one of those woven bracelets. I haven't made many of them in my time, but I do know how to make them, and I really enjoy doing this, and I love the final outcome. So next, out of my stash, I have pulled this 1mm waxed cotton cording, and I bought this off of Amazon, this one and black. Oh, good grief, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I still have lots of it. Now, if I can get this out, this is also the beading thread. I got this from Wild Beads and Arlington, Texas, but they do have this beautiful thread there. Now, I pulled out this gold button, but I will tell you that in the end I had to pull out something different, and it will be silver because I used some of the silver spacer balls in this. I pulled out my split needle, the short split needle. I'm almost out of those. And I'm going to go ahead and put my bead board up. Now, you have seen me use this bead board when I am doing bead weaving on the filament cord, but I'm going to use this instead of using my the other board that my brain has just lost what I was going to say. The loom that I normally use, I'm going to use the beading board. This is a bead-along, and what I did was I flipped it over whenever I'm doing bead weaving, and I just marked out the inches, both horizontal and vertical for this. I'm making sure that the button will fit through the loop I'm about to tie. And I have to tell you, I really searched before I could find a silver one, and it didn't even dawn on me that I had pulled the different spacers out. Now I have made a loop. I'm going through the back of the loop once, and let's see, twice. And then I'm going to pull it down till we get it right where I want it. I use this type of knot in a lot of my bracelets and necklaces, and you hold your thumb and forefinger on one side where you want the knot to go, and then you just very carefully with the thumb and forefinger of the other one, you push it down until you get it taut. Now then, once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and put this onto my board itself. I'm just using a little clip to hold it. I'm going to have to separate this in the end. I'm going to pull my bead weaving thread just right here, and I'm going to use my wax. This thread is not waxed. I do have some that is waxed, but for this particular piece, I wanted a slightly heavier thread, and so I'm going to go ahead and just run it through, and I'll run it through about 2 times. I have taken, and this is about 35 inches on that I will be cutting for this. If I did it again, or if I was doing this from the beginning, I would go ahead and I would have cut about 40 inches. Now, the reason I did that is because with this 8mm, even though you don't see it online, when I finished this and I looked at it, my brain went, you know, Kathryn, these are 8mm beads you're putting on here, not 4, 5, or 6s. So I think I'm going to double this. And what I did, and I will tell you again towards the end, is that I just tied it off. I went back up to the top and I went through everything a second time just to make sure that the thread would hold. And but let's go ahead and start. I've cut off my thread, and look how short my fingernails are. They were driving me crazy with the chipping, and I cut these things off as far as close as I could get them, and I was having trouble opening this split needle up. And I stuck a pin in it to get it to open up. And I had to have both hands, and I flipped off the thing and thought I'd flipped on the camera again, and I had not. But I've got it, the split opened. I'm putting my my cord through that. And let me see if I can tell you the name of this type of cord. Beading cord in a size D. I've gone ahead and got that through my needle, and because you don't have to use the needle to get underneath this, but I have clipped my fingernails so low that I'm having trouble picking things up. Yes, was it a spur of the moment at like 11 o'clock at night cutting? Absolutely. They were driving me insane with they were chipping, and it was making me crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie a surgeon's knot right here at the top of that knot we made to make the loop for the button. So I'm going to move this back through because I want to be able to make a circle. And I went, yeah, this is sad. This was the wrong time to pick doing this because I can't touch anything, especially when I've cut my thumbnail so thin. And okay, but it will grow back. God is gracious, and it will grow back. Now, I've made the knot here. I'm going to go ahead and put it through the circle once and through the circle twice to make this surgeon's knot. I'm going to take the tail on the other side, just like that. And I am going to pull this taut really down in there because I want it to hold. Now that I have the first one out, I can feel it with my fingers. I'm going to go ahead and go through twice through one more time. And then I'm going to, once I get that done, I'm going to pull it taut. And then this beading thread is now ready for you to work with on this cotton waxed cording. I got both of these from Amazon because my bead shop has changed to something else, and I do use what they have now, but I've used this for a long time, and so I'm just going to use it. Now this is a little thread burner, and I'm going to push it up and wait till I see the little smoke come out, and you just touch it and it is cut, and it also kind of sears it, melts it, and you are ready to go. So let's put this over to one side, and I am going to start out here with some spacer balls. Let's see here. Let's lay this down. The first thing we want to do is we want to move this over so that I have some room to work with, just like that. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and take out my dyed agate. Isn't that pretty? This is just so pretty. And I'm putting it in a Christmas box lid because I got tired of chasing it. And let's see here. So as I said, I haven't made one like this, oh my goodness, in many, many years. But my daughter, which seems to be the inspiration these days, came to me and she showed me one that she had picked up from a thrift store that was a wraparound. And I said, oh yes, I used to make those. And she was looking at the beads I got, and she said, well, why don't you make one of those out of these beads? It would be beautiful, Mom. And so that's what I did. So I have put on, just like you would do loom work, I have put on the first bead, and it's just going everywhere because I've got all this thread, and I've got to pull it under. You want to pull it under first, and I am locking this down on that side because it's making me slightly nuts. And once I get it pulled under and put up to the top, let me get this back in place and maybe bring it up a little bit so you can see what I am doing. Come on, you can do this. You might be thinking, well, why didn't you do this on a loom? Well, I really didn't have a loom. Even the new loom that I use, I didn't have anything that I could make the loop for the bead and not have too much space in the bracelet before we got to this section. Now, once I have gotten under and push the bead up through, just like you would do with loom work, you're going to go ahead and go across the top of those threads of your waxed cotton. So what this ends up being is very much like loom work, except you're making the loop for the bracelet itself, and then you are beading on a beadboard. That means you are the tension. And if you'll notice, I have my other hand really close there because every time I have to lift this to get under, to get these beads under, then I have to make the same tension that I had previously, or your threads will be too loose and your beads will fall through, even when you go under and over. So now I'm putting these back through. I'm holding tension. I'm going over the top of the waxed cording just like that. I'm going to go over the top. Oops. And I'm going to hold that in place. Then I'm going to tighten up the tension with my fingers and pull this just like that so that you have it. Now I am going to maneuver this to where this is more in the center because it will want to run to one side or the other. And so I played with this for about the first 5 rows of beads, and then it decided it knew what we were doing. All right, again, we've started now with the 8mm agate in that Dalmatian dye, and we put it one there, and then we're going to go over the top and we're going to bring it back down, and then we're going to make the tension go up, hold it in place, make sure it's taut, and then we'll go to the next one. And as I said, when I got this finished, and I'll show you how I finished it off, but when I got to the finish of this, I did that same surgeon knot tie at the bottom, leaving a tail long enough that I could weave into the beads. And then I went back up and I put more thread on it, and I went through this a second time because these are gorgeous agate beads. but you know, maybe I've just used 6, 4, and 5 millimeter too long in my loom work, but it didn't feel substantial enough to me. So I went ahead and I would go all the way down doing just this. I'm going to go under, put the bead on. I'm going to hold the tension. I'm going to pop that bead up underneath there. Come on. Raise it up a little bit. Okay, pop it up underneath there. And then I'm going to pull it into place. Just like that. Move it up. I pulled it right out of place. And then I'm holding off screen, but I'm holding the tension. And then I am going to go ahead and pull that up into place, just like that. And as I said, so when I finished this piece, I went back and did it a second time, just because I wanted to make good and sure these were in place. And we're going to do this all the way down. And when I'm ready to finish it off, I'll see you in a moment. All right. Well, the moment came. Really stop yours and go ahead and finish this off. You will do the exact same thing at the bottom that you did with the top, putting in your beads and then putting in those spacer balls to bring it to a point. Now then, come on, you can do this. I'm going to push this actually through the waxed cotton itself to make a knot. Once I do that, I am going to wrap this around and bring these closed. Then once I get that done, I will do a surgeon's knot. Just 1, 2 in, and I will bring it and close it again. Is this a step you have to do? No, because I'm going to tie a knot. But I like to just do things 2 or 3 times, making sure that I have it done. And that's because when I first started out with things like this, and I thought that they were nice and secure, and then they would break. Now, once I have gotten this done, I'm going back up and I'm doing just the single loop knot on the wax cord itself. I'm weaving it in through the beads, then going to the single knot, which is a circle, and you bring it through. Then I'm going to do a single knot here on the other side of these beads, and then I'm going to bring it back through these beads right here, and I will do that until I finish the tail. So what I did for this piece is I went all the way down till I got to 1 spacer ball. I closed this up. I hid all my tails by just running them back through the beads. Then I went back through and did it a second time so that I knew these beads were really secure. And this is the end of the second time. We've done surgeon knots and tied off the end for that single ball there, and then now I am just knotting and weaving in this thread till I get several beads down, and then I will take my little burner, and when I burn it, when I'm doing this final thing, I pull my thread up onto one of the beads. Just like that. You see it's on the top of the bead, and I'm going to touch it right where it comes up to that bead. And that way, if I'm using one of these little burners, I do not have to worry about catching that thread and ruining the whole thing and having to take all the beads out and start over again. And this is ready for the next step. So the next step is to go ahead and tie a knot right there, right where you have finished off with your nylon thread. And this time we're only putting it through a single turn. And we're going to very carefully making sure we're pulling both of those threads at the same time and tightening both ends. We're push-pulling until we get all the way down to where we want it to be, just like that. And so we have a knot on both sides to start it, but now it is time for us to go ahead, check the length, make sure we don't need anything extra, and now we're going to go ahead and add our button. Right, to add this button now, we're going to decide which is the top. Then we're going to flip it over, work from the back, put your button on, run the 2 cords through that button. And once you do that, just like we've done this knot before, you're going to hold that exactly next to that button. You're going to make the loop. You're going to put it once through the back for this one, and making sure that everything is pulled at the same time. And this one's giving me a little issue because I keep wiggling the button. You're going to go ahead and pull it down until you have that knot nice and taut, and that finishes it. Let's make sure it goes on, which is, it's kind of crazy at this point. But you know what? Didn't do a double knot, so that if I needed to put a smaller or a larger button on, I could. But that works real well. All right, let's go ahead and put this on so you can see it. Now, isn't that pretty? I just love that. That is so pretty. I'm going to leave a tail on this, and this is purely at your discretion. If you don't want it, then go ahead and cut it and take a lighter and just melt the ends of this to make sure it's nice and sealed. But I want to make sure that I have something to hold on to. You see how I'm fighting this? That I have something to hang on to get that particular button through the hole. The really nice thing about leaving a dangle on this, you can wear it just like that. I think that's a beautiful button. Or you can flip it over, have the dangles hang off the bottom of your wrist, and then go ahead and have just that beautiful agate on top. I have to tell you, I do it both ways. All right, so now then, we've got this done, and it's now ready for the next part to do finishing off this bracelet. Now, isn't that pretty? I just love this. I don't know why doing these fell off my radar, but they did. And I just think they're gorgeous. All right, so for this piece, I'm going to pull out 2 of my large hole spacer beads. I'm going to do a single loop knot at the top. I just want to make sure the knot is large enough that the large hole beads will not go through the knot and run up. I don't like that whenever they move up and down my wrist. Okay, once I do that, again, it's a circle. I'm going to make a circle. I'll show you on this one. So we're going to put this on, and this I'm going to do slightly I'm not going to put them side by side. They're slightly going to be askew. I've made 1 knot. Again, we're going to try putting this on again, and then we're going to make a circle. We're going to go through 1 time, and then we're going to push pull till I get that knot right up against that spacer ball. Now, isn't that pretty? I just love this. Now, I will clip this, and then I will go ahead and take a lighter to this. I will have to do the lighter off camera because I have to go find one. Nobody in my family smokes, and yet everybody always needs a lighter for something, and I am always looking in all the drawers to find the lighter for what I need, because I use electric candles a lot. Now, when I have my quiet time with the Lord, I do use real candles. I sit out on the front in the morning and do that. Now, isn't that pretty? I just love that, but I use matches usually for that. Isn't that pretty? Let's put this out here so you can just take a glimpse at this little beauty. But I really love it. That is just gorgeous. Let's go ahead and put this on here. You know, the good thing is because you're using cotton cording, once the stiffness in this loosens a little bit, it will be easier to get that loop through. But that is just so pretty. And if you're making one of these for yourself, and unless you're using a thread that was stronger than what I was using, I would definitely go through this twice. All right, and there's the picture of the finished bracelet, and it's time for us to move on to the earrings. But before we do, would you take a moment to like and comment on this video? And if you haven't subscribed already, would you please subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you're notified when we put things up? I'm kind of sporadic when I'm putting things up because I never know how long it's going to take or what's going on in my week. And this is something I do because I love it, not something I do because I get paid for it. And I love spending time with y'all. All right, let's move on to the matching earrings. Right, for these earrings, we're going to go ahead and use the same agate we did on that bracelet. We're going to be using the same spacer balls. So if you haven't cleaned up your mat yet, you can just keep that out and we'll just keep going with it. I'm going to use some silver beading wire. You will see a little bit of it, but not much. And this is jewelry tubing. It feels and looks like leather. And but it has a hole in the center, and I will be putting the beading wire up through it. I got some number 2 bead-alon crimps for this. I'm not going to use wire guards. I thought I might, but I decided I didn't. I just really didn't want to add the more bulk to the top of the earring. So here what I'm doing is I'm trying to get these to go across and be even so I can cut them because I'm going to need 2 sides. I have done about 3 inches. Actually, I cut it 3 inches and I ended up cutting off about 1/2 inch for mine. So I'm going to do it single. And the reason I did a test, the 3 inches was just too long for my neck. But if you like long earrings, go with the 3 inches. They're beautiful. But I have a little short neck and I don't like them to brush my collarbone. That drives me crazy. So once you fold them in the middle, go ahead and just cut them right in the middle because this will make that leather look to these earrings. No, we did not use leather. I had leather, but I decided to go ahead and use the black cotton, but it's close enough in look and texture that we're going in this beading tubing that we're going to go ahead and use it for the earrings themselves. Yes, I could have used 24 gauge wire and very carefully manipulated up through the cotton, waxed cotton cord, but I decided it was not worth it. That's just the honest truth. Okay, I put 1/2 on, then I'm putting my spacer, then the agate, and then another spacer, and then I'm going to go ahead and put on. Now see, isn't that pretty? So it's spacer, agate, spacer. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on the jewelry tubing just right through there. Now, although I have never done it, I have been told that people put this jewelry tubing on necklaces, the ones that go right at the collarbone, but I haven't done that, so I'm not really sure how that would work. But I love it for earrings and bracelets, and sometimes for just the center of a necklace. So I've cut that wire. I've given myself about 2 to 2 1/4 inches, and I am taking a crimp and I'm bringing it right up against the leather because I want this to be pushed tight so it will give that leather shape to it. I have put it in the back rung, mashed it, made a little M, did a 4th turn, put it in that front 1/2 circle, mashed it, and that would close the little M up. Now then, I am going to go ahead and put on another spacer ball. You do not have to do this, but I do not like to cut my wire right up against my crimp. So I always add spacer balls to hide part of the wire. I'm cutting right up against the top of that spacer ball, only one wire, because I need the other one, and that's why I cut it long. You could have skewed it slightly and save you a 1/2 inch of wire, but I just didn't do that. All right, so we're going to put that, we're making a loop, and you have to make sure that your spacer ball stays on the wire you cut. I'm bringing down the wire I have left through that crimp and then through the spacer ball. I want my loop to be horizontal from my earring, because my earring wire will have a vertical loop on it, and I want these to face forward. So I am going ahead and making sure that this is where I want it and twisting it to make sure that I keep it exactly where I want it. And then I am going to go ahead and use my crimper on it. And we'll do it just like this. You'll put it to the back, you'll mash it, make the M, do a fourth turn, put it to the front, mash it, and it closes that M up. Now then, I'm going to take my straight nose pliers and I'm going to bring them down on this beading wire to give it a more consistent circle to the top. I don't want it to be all mashed together. Then putting the flat of my cutters on there, I cut it right up against the base of that wire, and you've got one done. And through the magic of video, we have the other done. Now, you can use, I think this would be real pretty in lever backs, but you can use any type of ear wire you want. I do not have pierced ears, so I always use clips unless I'm making them for my daughter. I put it on, I close the little circle on that clip, and this earring is finished. Could you use fish hooks on this? Absolutely. It will add a little bit of length to the earring. Could you use studs with loops? Absolutely. That one, usually the earring itself will hang slightly onto the ear and you won't get the same movement. So if I was doing this for someone who had pierced ears, I would put it on lever backs. All right, and this is the finished set. Now, isn't that beautiful? I think it has a southwestern flair. I don't know about you, but I just love it. Let's put the heart up and let's see what this looks like. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the dangles, and they are pretty whether you're wearing the button on the top or the bottom. And I think I have this in camera. Let me go ahead and put the earrings on there. I was so busy trying to get that. All right, let's move that back down. So isn't that lovely? I just love this. This is such a pretty piece. I hope you make one of these for yourself. They are just so much fun. A little time consuming, but lots of fun. All right, let's see some pictures. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Aren't these so cute? I just love them. You know, my mouth talks faster than my mic can pick all my words up. Sorry about that. But isn't this a beautiful set? Look in your own stash. It doesn't have to be 8mm. This would be beautiful with 5, or it would be beautiful with 6. But make one of these for yourself. Did not see these beautiful Dalmatian agate beads on the box extras on the sister store of Bead Box Bargain, but I did see some of them not in agate but in jasper on Amazon. So if you really want this look, check out some different places and get some of these for yourself. If not, use whatever you have. This is really a wonderful project. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button for this, and I will see you next time. Kathryn, Handmade by Circle Art Designs. God bless y'all. Have a great weekend. Happy beading.